Assalamu alaikum. That is, peace be upon you. Welcome to another segment of Al Islam Worldwide Ministry Presents. As always, we'd like to begin with prayer. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. And we translate now from Abdullah Yusuf Ali's translation, the first chapter of the Quran, titled Al-Fatiha. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. All praise belong to Allah, the cherisher sustainer of all the systems of science, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. Sole Master on the Day of Judgment. Thee alone do we worship, and Thee alone do we seek for aid and assistance. Guide us along the path that is straight, the path of those whom Thou hast bestowed Thy favors, not the path of those that have earned Your displeasure, nor of those who go astray. End quote. And we say, Ameen, Sadaqallah Azim, God the Mighty spoke the truth. I have read from Al-Fatiha, the opening chapter of the Quran, led the prayer first, or recited the prayer first in Arabic, and then we translate into English. So we want to greet our viewers in the United States of America. We said earlier when we started, Assalamu alaikum to the Muslims. Peace be upon you to our Christian brothers and sisters. Shalom to our Jewish brothers and sisters. And one of our technical, Imam Bilal, reminded me to share with you all and encourage you to share. We're on live, on Facebook Live. So if you could share while we're online right now, encourage your friends to tune in with us. Our topic tonight, last segment, the Quran and science. This is part 6, and we hope to conclude this segment tonight. So I want to introduce our guest with us. To my right, always, Cam Nelson. Wa alaikum assalam. Ahmed MAJID. Wa alaikum assalam. LAZETTE SALEEM. Wa alaikum assalam. Our young student, ZARIA KARRIEM. Assalamu alaikum. TERESA ABDULLAH. Assalamu alaikum. Doc RASHEED ABDULLAH. Assalamu alaikum. In your courtesy greeting. That's his signature greeting. And to all of you all, welcome. And our international viewers and audience. And before we came on live, we were talking about, and we're so grateful and thankful to Allah, as always, for your continued support of Al Islam Worldwide Ministry. We have a very consistent audience. The audience is growing, and we appreciate you sharing with your friends. And some of you all are having watch parties. You know who you are. And some of you all are in your masjids. And I know particularly my friend Imam Tariq Abdul Muhmin over in Biloxi. He always have his masjid tune into our program. So we're very grateful to all of you all, and we thank you very much for joining us on Al Islam Worldwide Ministry. And don't forget, as we finish our program, we also have our YouTube channel that will be posting this program. So if you don't catch us live and share with your friends, they don't catch us live, you can always go back on Facebook and watch the posts, and also on YouTube. So we want to get started, and I introduced my guest, but I want to also introduce our technician, cameraman, Imam Bilal HASSAN on the other side. And by the way, this is a live, program, so you all can interact with us. So feel free. Imam Bilal is watching the screen, and this is live. So if you have a question, we would absolutely love for you to engage us with the questions. And our producer, I call him our executive producer, Abdullah Shah. You don't see him on camera, but he's here watching us. He's our producer. So we want to welcome them and say greetings to them also. Now we want to get started because we have a number of questions tonight. And as always, I'd like to begin with an opening statement from Imam Muhammad's book, this classic, Education, a Sacred Matter, commentary of Imam W.D. Muhammad, edited by my good friend Imam Ronald B. Shaheed, on the subject matter of the Quran and science. So on page 21, I want to read that. A couple of pages I want to read it, just a paragraph or half a paragraph. Imam W.D. Muhammad. we say Mother Nature is our first teacher. But if we believe in God, who made Mother Nature? Question. Mother Nature is not a person. Mother Nature, let's pull this off here. Mother Nature is a pen and ink. Now, listen to that. Mother Nature, creation, is a pen and ink. God says in the Quran, and Ahmed, this was part of your question last week, if all the trees could be made into pens, and the 7 seas multiplied over made into ink, they would not be able to write all the knowledge of God, all the knowledge that God has given for the human intellect in this great creation. They would be used up, and there still would be so much more to write. Why? Because the whole creation is the teaching of God. And he created the human intellect to live in that teaching or learning environment. We are human beings, and we have great capacity, the great potential and great ability that we have because of our intellect, because of what we have inside of our head, inside of our brain, the human brain. Your brain is not like any other brain made for any other creature. It is because of the way God made your brain that you, in your service to God, once you awaken to the service that you have to render to God, are a little above the angels. That is scripture, and that is also the Quran. Yes, nothing in creation is higher than the universal person that God made to benefit from the whole creation and utilize it out of respect for God and in service to mankind. Nothing in creation has been given a more honorable position or role and matter in the creation than the human brain. End quote, Imam W.D. Muhammad. And I'm reminded of Muhammad the Prophet's teaching, prayers and peace be upon him. I believe I quoted this last week, where the Prophet said, God has created nothing more valuable for the human being than the human intellect, than reason and the brain. So we have to use it. God gave it to us, and it separates us from the animals and everything else in creation, this intellect. So we're going to get right to our questions, because we have quite a few of them tonight. And we want to start with Lazette. Saleem, you get the first question. Wa alaikum assalam.
French scientist Jacques Cousteau discovered the 2 seas. They meet. One is sweet and the other is salty, but they don't mix. Is there any reference to that in the Quran?
Now, that's interesting. Now, she mentioned, if you all didn't hear her question, that the French oceanographer, scientist Jacques Cousteau, in the early 1960s, he was doing underwater exploration, and his friend Maurice Bucaille, and I don't know if you're familiar with the book or if you all familiar with the book, it's called The Bible, the Quran, and Science. Yes, by Dr. Maurice Bucaille, also a Frenchman. He's Muslim, Maurice Bucaille. And he mentions this discovery that his friend Captain Jacques Cousteau brought to his attention. So let's go right to your question here, Lizette, because let's see. All right, here we go. And her question is there any reference to these 2 waters mixing in the Quran? Now, the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea, these are the 2. And it's others, but the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean, they come together in the Straits of Gibraltar. And I recall reading this in the book, The Bible, the Quran, and Science. And Jacques Cousteau, Captain Jacques Cousteau, I think he passed on, God rest his soul, his son's still living.
Yes, he passed.
Yeah, he was an underwater explorer. So, now this is in the early 1960s now. So what's that, the 20th century? Yeah, we're in the 21st century, 20th century. So when he discovered this, he went to share it with his friend, Dr. Maurice Bucaille. This whole story is in this book, The Bible, Quran, and Science. And when he shared with Maurice Bucaille what he found, discovering under the ocean, now remember now, 20th century, 1960. Maurice Bucaille tells him, he said, "You did discover that?" He said, "Yes, this is amazing." He said, "Well, let me show you where it's at in the Quran." And I'm going to show you. So, Maurice Bucaille shared chapter 35, verse 12. And I will tell you what he said, what Captain Jacques Cousteau said after Maurice Bucaille read this to him. And this is in the chapter Al-Fatir, the originator of creation, verse 12. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. With God's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. وَمَا يَسْتَوِي الْبَعْرَانِ هَذَا عَذْبٌ فَرَاتٌ سَابِغٌ شَرَابُهُ وَهَذَا مِلْحٌ أُجَاجٌ وَمِنْ كُلِّ تَأْكُلُونَ لَحْمًا طَرِيًّا وَتَسْتَخْرِجُونَ هِلْيَةً تَلْبَسُونَهَا وَتَرَى فُلْكَ فِيهِ مَوَاخِرَ لِتَبْتَغُوا مِنْ فَضْلِهِ وَلَعَلَكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. Sadaqallah al-Azim, God the Mighty spoke the truth. Translating now. Your question is, any reference to this in the Quran? Now remember, Maurice Bucaille is reading this and giving this to Jacques Cousteau, Captain Jacques Cousteau. God rest his soul. Nor are the two bodies of flowing water alike. The one palatable, sweet, and pleasant to drink, and the other salty and bitter. Yet from each kind of water do you eat flesh that is fresh and tender. Fish, seafood, we know this. Some from salt water, some from lake water, fresh water. And you extract, now this is what God revealed, and he gave him another verse, I'm going to give you the other verse too. And you extract ornaments to wear. What ornaments come out of this? Yeah, girl, see, sisters, they know. what comes out of those? Pearls. So God tells Muhammad, and you get pearls. Now that's big business now. Pearls, big business. And you extract ornaments to wear. And thou see the ships therein plowing the waves, that you may seek thus of the bounty of Allah, that you may be grateful. So the two bodies are mentioned right here, right? One salty and one sweet. Okay, so now we go to chapter 55, where you ask the question about the two meeting. And this is what just blew Jacques Cousteau's mind, this verse. Chapter 55, 19 and 20. مرج البحرين يلتقيان. God has let free the two bodies of flowing water meeting together. The Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean at the Straits of Gibraltar come together. But look, this is verse 20. Now this is what Jacques Cousteau saw and discovered. بينهما برزق لا يبغيان. Between the two of them, there is a barrier which they do not transgress. But you can't see the barrier. Barzak. See, barzak means like a, and I don't want to get off course, because I understand what this means also in relationship to the hereafter. Barzak. That there's a veil between that next life and this life. Right. Now, you can't see it, but there's something that God has created that keeps us from seeing that next life while we are in this life. So Jacques Cousteau, Sister Lizette, to answer your question, he's doing his underwater exploration. He didn't know this before it was in the early 1960s. Now, this verse and the one I read to you earlier was revealed to Prophet Muhammad 1,400 years ago. So my question is, was Prophet Muhammad an underwater explorer? Was he an oceanographer? No. So when Dr. Maurice Bucaille told Captain Jacques Cousteau about these two verses and about this verse where the Barzakh was there and it separates the barrier, he saw it himself. The scientist saw it. And he said, there is no way, this is in that book, the Bible, the Quran, and Science. He said, there is no way Prophet Muhammad could have known that. Impossible. How is he going to know it? There's no way for him to know it. Nobody knew it till Jacques Cousteau discovered. But the Prophet was given it. God revealed it to him. 2 places in the Quran, the verses that I gave you. So, for those of you all who are watching us live and who will watch our post later, here is another proof that the Quran is from God and not from Muhammad, but revealed to Prophet Muhammad and through him. So now, what is that barrier? So imagine this now. Now this has other meaning. I gotta share this. I can't. I have to give the tafsir insights on this from Imam Muhammad, right? One sweet. So we do it. Yeah, straight to Gibraltar. If we do this, the saliva, is it sweet or salty? Sweet. You don't want it too sweet, but it's sweet. It's not salty, right? We cry tears. Taste it. Salty. Huh? So we have these two bodies of water in our one body. So Imam Muhammad, he said the spirituality of the human being is in 2 forms. One, our spirituality, our sentimental life is sweet. I love you. Oh, you're sweet. Oh, how kind. You know, we get the children. Oh, baby. See, that's the sweet water. Huh? The other one is, I done told you straighten up in here. You're getting on my nerves. That's the salt water, isn't it? See, so a little bitterness come out. But the two are not to merge. They're to keep their separate, distinct, unique identity and only come out when needed. So we have within us sweet water and salt water. And so the oceans and the rivers and those 2 oceans out there, that's a sign in the big picture of creation now of what happens. So that's the macrocosm, the big picture. And it also happens in the microcosm. So viewers, don't let your sweet sentiments overrun your salt sentiments. And don't let your salt sentiments overrun your sweet sentiments. Keep them in a balance, and God has put an invisible barrier between the two, so the sweet water doesn't overcome the salt water, and the salt water doesn't overcome the sweet water. But look at something else here now. They each respect the other's boundaries. They respect the boundaries, and God has created that. So the salt water goes up to a point. Say, no, your nature is sweet. I can't overrun your nature. And the sweet water, no, God has made me fresh water, sweet water. I can't overrun your nature. So we can learn a lot from the oceans, dear people, in terms of how we relate to each other sentimentally. So thank you so much for that question. A whole lot more to say on it, but I think it's clear that another example in the Quran of science given to Muhammad the Prophet many centuries before it was discovered by the sciences. So thank you very much for that question, Sister Lizette. Okay, second question, Camp. Wa alaikum assalam.
Okay, so the splitting of the atom was a major scientific breakthrough. Does the Quran mention this?
Oh, now we getting heavy now, the splitting of the atom, huh? His question is, the splitting of the atom was a major scientific breakthrough. Atom, A-T-O-M. Now, I don't know how many people are aware that the term atom, A-T-O-M, is actually in the Quran. Chapter 99, verse 7 and 8. Now again, I'm going to ask this question up front. We know the answer to it. Was Muhammad the Prophet praise and peace be upon him, a physicist. No. So where was this science back in those days? All right. So here in chapter 99, zilzala, the earthquake. God says, Cam, into our views, verse 7. فَمَنْ يَأْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا. Then shall anyone who has done in atoms, ZARIA, an atom's weight of good, shall see it. Verse 8. وَمَنْ يَأْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرِيرًا. And anyone who has done an atom's weight of evil shall see it. ZARIA. Now, in the Arabic dictionary, or the dictionary of the Quran, on page 188, the verb darra, to scatter, sprinkle, rise, darratun, atom, A-T-O-M, something smaller than an ant, the smallest kind of ant, I'm reading from the dictionary, resembling in weight and the shape of an atom. There's a second meaning to this now that connects. Duriyatun, progeny, offspring, children, raising children. So, now, say the word Adam. Say atom. 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 Duriya, atom. Duriya, offspring, children from Adam. And how is that offspring produced? From the smallest little seed. So God revealed to Muhammad the prophet, and we'll get to the science part of this now, the scientists. Anyone who does an atom's weight. Well, who was weighing an atom 1,400 years ago? Who? Who could weigh an atom? Who even knew an atom existed? The technology had not been discovered. The instruments to find it had not been discovered. But God revealed it to Muhammad the prophet. Praise and peace be upon him. Okay, so here in the 20th century, two German scientists in 1938, Otto Hahn, O-T-T-O, and his last name H-A-H-N, and Fritz Strassmann, they discovered the ability to split what they call nuclear fission, a nuclear fissure. Okay, because you asked about the splitting of the atom, but I wanted to show you the atom itself. Okay, and the Manhattan Project, which Albert Einstein was a part of, and it's so unfortunate. Now this is the bad part of this. See, you can come up with these discoveries and all this power and this science, but you have to be responsible, because unfortunately they created an atomic bomb and dropped it on our brothers and sisters in Japan. All right, and some of them are still suffering from that. But the science is here. Man can abuse it now. The power is there. The science is here. Okay, so the splitting. Now remember what I just said. Now the word is nuclear fissure or fission. In chapter 6, verse 99. Pardon me, 95. 99 is something else. إن الله فالق الحب والنوى يخرج الحي من الميت ومخرج الميت من الحي ذلكم الله فأنى تؤفكون. It is Allah, God, who calls the seed grain and the date stone, habbi, falikul habbi wan nawa, to split and sprout. He calls the living to issue from the dead, and he's the one that calls the dead, this is an animate life now, to issue from the living. That is Allah. how then are you deluded away from reality and truth? The word an-nawaa, you know what an-nawaa means? Nuclear fissure. Yeah, look the word up in Arabic, Google it. The Arabic word, the scientific word for nuclear fission and nuclear fission, falikun nawaa. So God told Prophet Muhammad, falikul habban nawaa, we have split the date storm, and the physicists and the scientists of Arabic language, they know, and nawaa means nuclear fissure. Right here in chapter 6, verse 95, that God told Prophet Muhammad 1400 years ago that the atom could be split. But first of all, he gave him the knowledge of the atom, that it exists. Now it could be split. But now you have to have the science, the science of nuclear fission and fusion to be able to to be able to split it. Now, Doc, I know you recognize this language, and some of you all out there who know the language, I'm sure you remember Bilal too. Falaq. That's the 113th chapter of the Quran. Yes, it's associated with that. Falaq. The dawn, the breaking of the darkness and coming into light. And nuclear energy brought man out of the darkness and into the light. Nuclear energy, we still using it, right?
That's right.
Yeah, still using it. Yes, sir. And so God said, I brought the living from the dead from the living. And I brought night, the light out from the night. It's the verse following after that, but I'm moving on because of the next question. So thank you very much for that question, Cam. Zaria, you get question number 3.
Okay, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
My question is, does the Quran mention agriculture and botany?
Does the Quran mentions agriculture and botany? Botany is the study of plants, plant life. So chapter 71, verse 17. Start with the plant, the botany. Wallahu ambatakum min al-ardi nabatan. And Allah has produced you all like a plant, or like plants, growing gradually. Nabat. Nabat is plants. Okay. Chapter 23, verse 17. And there's much I could say on that, but I'm watching my watch and I'm trying to get all of the questions in now. Starting with verse 18, Zaria, in our audience. So chapter 23 is titled The Believers. Verse 18. وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ agriculture مَاءً بِقَدْرٍ فَأَسْكَنَاهُ فِي الْأَرْضِ irrigation here now. وَإِنَّ عَلَى ذَهَابٍ بِهِ لَقَادِرُونَ. And we send down water from the skies according to certain measure and proportion. And we cause it to irrigate. They translate that to soak the soil. It's irrigation. And we cause it to irrigate the earth, the soil. And we are able to drain it off. Okay, you know my question. What irrigation systems did they have in the time of Prophet Muhammad? These are modern inventions. But God is giving him the technology way in advance of the technology. So we can irrigate it and we can drain the water off. That's right here. Chapter 23, verse 18. Verse 19. فَأَنْشَأْنَا لَكُمْ بِهِ جَنَّاتٍ مِّن نَخِيلٍ وَأَحْنَابٍ لَكُمْ فِيهَا فَوَاكِهُ كَثِيرَةٌ وَمِنْهَا تَأْكُلُونَ. And with it we grow for you, agriculture, gardens of date palms and vines. But now, you see, now this is connecting now with what the common agriculture of that day and time was too now. So I'm going to give you another verse. Well, they had date palms all over the place. We got a lot of palm trees in Florida, right? And they had vines. They grew olives and dates of that color. So they could identify with this. But God mentioned something else in another verse. So Allah is telling them to the prophet, revealed to the prophet, and with this water, with the irrigation, with the draining of the water from the soil, we grow for you gardens of date palms and vines, and in them have you abundant fruits. And of them you eat and have enjoyment. All right? One more for you, Zaria. Chapter 6, verse 99. وهو الذي أنزل من السماء, starts off like the verse I just read, ماء فأخرجنا به نبات, plants, vegetation, كل شيء فأخرجنا منه قادر نخرج منه حبا متراكبا ومن النخل من طلعها كنوان دانية وجنة من أعناب وزيتون ورمان مشتبها وغير متشابه. رشيد. انظروا إلى ثمره إذا أثمر وينئه إن في ذلكم لآية لقوم يؤمنون. It is it is He, God, who send down rain from the sky. Now we live in Florida. We get a lot of rain here in Florida. We just had some last week. It is He, God, who sends down rain from the skies, agriculture. With it we produce vegetation, crops, agriculture, plant of all kinds now. You see how the picture went from date palms to vines to all kinds of vegetation and plants now. With it we produce vegetation of all kinds. From some we produce green crops, out of which we produce grain, heaped up at harvest time. Out of the date palm and its sheaths or space come clusters of dates. This is pretty descriptive, isn't it? Hanging low and near. And then there are gardens of grapes. I love grapes. And olives. Love olives. And pomegranates. I don't eat many of those. But I like them. I've had them. Each similar in kind. Now, insights of Imam W. Muhammad. This is also referring to personality types in the human being.
Absolutely.
Psychology, you know that.
Absolutely.
Some are like grapes, some are like vines, some are like pomegranates.
Right.
All right, you got it. Some are like corn, and some are like cactus too.
And just like fruit, sometimes they don't ripe.
That's right. It is fall and spoil.
That's right.
Don't produce this fall and spoil.
That's right.
Yeah, fall and spoil. Each similar in kind, yet different in variety.
That's right.
When they begin to bear fruit. So God created these to bear fruit. Production. Feast your eyes. I'm reading this. With the fruit and the ripeness thereof.
That's right.
Behold, God says, and these things, they are signs for people who believe. So thank you very much for that question. More to be said, but I think you got the point.
Deep message.
Yeah, very deep message now. Quran, very
For
deep
those who
message.
believe.
Okay, number 4, which we're getting on through. Teresa, we got question number 4.
Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Are the stages of childbirth mentioned in the Quran?
Ah, the stages of childbirth. Now we're getting into embryology and childbirth. Okay. So we're going to go first to chapter 35, verse 11. Al-Fatiha, originator of creation. وَاللَّهُ خَلَقَكُم مِّن تُرَابٍ ثُمَّ مِّن نُطْفَةٍ ثُمَّ جَعَلَكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا وَمَا تَحْمِلُ مِنْ أُنثَىٰ وَلَا تَدَعُوا إِلَّا بِعِلْمِهِ وَمَا يُعَمَّرُ مِنْ مُعَمِّرٍ وَلَا يُنْقَصُ مِنْ أُمُورِهِ إلا في كتاب إن ذلك على الله يسير. And Allah did create, we're talking about the birth now, you all from dust, meaning nothing. Then from a nutfa, sperm drop. Okay, now here's my next question. I'm asking these questions. I come across all these scientific verses in the Quran now. Was Prophet Muhammad, prayers and peace be upon him, a gynecologist or a doctor? No. No. Then from a nutfa, sperm drop, then he made you into pairs. And no female, childbirth, conceives or lays down her hamil, load, burden, but without God's knowledge. So God knows every child that's born. That's what this is saying. You know, it's like I was watching my trees. They have some beautiful trees. And, you know, they change color in the fall. So I noticed leaves falling. And the verse in the Quran came to my mind. Not one leaf fall off of any tree without God's knowledge. And then I imagine how many trees all over this globe. And every leaf that drops off of a tree, God knows each one that fall off. So God says here, no female conceives, give birth, or lays down her load, her burden, but with his knowledge. Nor is a human being, they translate man, but it means human being, granted long life, length of days, nor is part of his life cut off, shortened, but is a decree already ordained by God. All this is easy for Allah. He can extend the life of the human being, or he can cut it off short.
And they want to guard it more than nature.
Now let's go through the steps. Chapter 23.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Embryology. Chapter 23, verse 12. We're doing good for time, too. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ سُلَالَةٍ مِنْ طِينٍ. Man did we create from a quintessence of clay, meaning the best. Verse 13. Now these are actual stages that was discovered around the late 19th century, late 1800s, about childbirth now. ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاهُ نُطْفَةً. I read the nutfa earlier. Then we placed him as a sperm, a drop of sperm, فِي قَرَارٍ مَكِينٍ, in a place of rest, the stomach of the mother, firmly fixed. So these are steps. Here's the next step. ثُمَّ خَلَقْنَا النُّطْفَةَ عَلَقٍ. Then we made the sperm into a clot of congealing blood. Next step. فَخَلَقْنَا الْعَلَقَةَ مُدْغَةً فَخَلَقْنَا الْمُدْغَةَ. Then of that congealed blood, we made a fetus lump. Listen, I don't know how anyone can read all of this in the Quran and not just being revealed now. In the 7th century to an unlettered man in scripture, no medical schools, nothing, no schools to talk about it. How is this possible that he can know this? And verified later in the 19th century. Then we made up the fetus lump, made out of that lump إِذَامًا فَكَسَلْنَا إِذَامًا, bones. And then we closed the bone, lahma, with flesh. So 6 steps. And every child born today goes through those same 6 steps. that God revealed to Muhammad the Prophet on embryology and childbirth. And he was not a gynecologist, and he was not a doctor. But now listen now, because it goes on. Now this is where it gets dark in your area. So after the flesh is put on the bone.
That's right.
ثم أنشأناه خلقا آخر. Then we produce out of the flesh another creation. فَتَبَارَكَ اللَّهُ أَحْسَنُ الْخَالِقِينَ. So blessed be God, the best of all creators.
Yes.
So what's the next creation after the flesh? The intellect. See? The intellect. The intellect. So God says after the 6 stages of the flesh, then a whole new creation starts in the mind, the intellect. And I'm going to share this with you from Imam W.D. Muhammad, God grant him high stage in paradise. Every physical step that the child goes through in the womb of the mother, the mind goes through that intellectually. First, there's a germ of knowledge dropped in, like the sperm. And then the more you study on that, it forms itself into a clot of ideas. And then as you keep developing that intellect, it becomes a fetus lump. And then you keep reading and studying on this idea, and it grows, and you put some bones, some structure on those ideas. And then the more you keep studying, you think on it, you give thought to it, and you flesh it out. That's understanding. And then, I got it now. That's the next creation. That's the mind that has been evolved after coming in contact with information. So thank you so much for that question.
Thank you.
Okay, can we get one more in here? One last one. Doc? Give me. No, I don't want to rush your question. I don't want to rush it. So we're going to conclude. Do we have anything from our audience? Can you pass that to me, Ahmed? Because I cannot see that. We want to get this last question in from the audience. Because if I get on your question, Doc, we'll be too long time.
I know, because I got some stuff.
Okay, this is a question. Yes, ABDULLAH, one of our regular viewers out of California. His question is the splitting, now he's listening because he connect what I said with Adam and atom. Is the splitting of the atom like the splitting of the seed to bring about offspring? Yes, you got it, ABDULLAH. So thank you all for joining us. We have concluded. We've come to our time, and we don't want to go over time. We've come to our time. It's now for us to conclude because it's 7:45. And we thank you all for joining us, and I want to thank all of our guests. And I want to let you all know, our live audience, we will not be broadcasting next week because of Thanksgiving. So we want to say in advance, happy Thanksgiving to our Al-Islam worldwide community, and we hope you have a wonderful time with your family and visit your families, Muslims, visit the Prophet Muhammad, praise and peace be upon him. He encouraged the Muslims to visit your non-Muslim family members and your non-Muslim relatives. And if you, now I already know somebody going to send me something and say, well, we're not celebrating Thanksgiving. We only have 2 holidays. I'm aware of that. Eid al-Fitr, after the fast month of Ramadan, and Eid al-Adha. But the Prophet taught us, praise and peace be upon him, he said every nation have their ceremonies, their celebrations, and their festivals. So we live in a society. This is not a haram, quote-unquote, holiday, haram, prohibited. So visit your family members, and when you go around your family members, be very respectful of them. And this is their season, their holiday season. So this is an opportunity, so we want to respect that. So we will not be broadcasting next week. So join us the following week, inshallah, we say God willing, when we come back live for Al-Islam Worldwide Ministry. So we thank you very much. We encourage you to visit our website, www.alislamworldwideministry.com. We have a donate button if you want to contribute to our cause here in Jacksonville, Florida. If you would like to mail us some contributions, our P.O. Box is 3204, Jacksonville, Florida, 32206, Al-Islam Worldwide Ministry. Join us for Jummah prayer tomorrow, God willing, at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. And we encourage you to share the program on Facebook and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. So we would like to conclude as we began with prayer. رَبِّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Our Lord, grant us the best that this world has to offer us, and grant us the best that the next life has to offer us, and save us from the punishment of the fires of sins. Ameen. Thank you all very much. We say assalamu alaikum to our Muslims. Peace be upon you to our Christian brothers and sisters. Shalom to our Jewish brothers and sisters, and happy holidays to all of you.